Nice.
There we go. All right, we're back.
Let's get it.
Oh,
We're back.
that's not where I wanted to be. We're back. We're
Oh,
back. Only a month off, Planned, totally
Is
planned,
it
right?
already? Oh my
I think it
gosh.
was roughly a month, wasn't it? Seems
Whew.
about right.
Does not feel like it. Feels like 4 days.
Right, right. Oh man, it went by, it's one of those things where I realized like, yeah, we haven't streamed in like 4 weeks, but it hasn't felt like it. It's
No.
I
definitely
mean, I
went
think
quickly.
partially that's because there really hasn't been anything Chiefs related going on. There's been maybe a couple NFL stories here and there, but like as far as like the actual Chiefs, it's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, very little moves, pretty quiet. I feel the same. I
So yeah,
It's
yeah,
think there's a lot of rumorvilles,
right.
of
it's
course.
actually been a nice little break from the Chiefs. I'm like after a season, like I'll dive right back into like football stuff. Usually it's when we've lost, like because it's like oh we were right there, and I think I'm just like hungry to like man if we had only done this or like that's why I'm like more into the draft talk. But since we've won the Super Bowl and
It's been like, yeah, we are the champions.
it's been
Right.
more of that. Yeah, you're a little bit more relaxed. Like you trust the team. I was like, oh, I'm sure they're doing something. They got it. They got it.
I got this.
Like it's a different feeling. Like it's not
For
that
sure.
like, man, what piece do we need
Yeah,
type
we don't.
deal
It
anymore.
doesn't feel like next year is a must-win season, right? Like, of course we want to
Yeah,
win, and let's be honest, we probably may. We have a very good chance. I think we're still the leaders in Vegas odds for the next year's Super Bowl, even. So it doesn't feel like that we have to win this offseason. Especially
well,
after last year when we traded Tyreek Hill, there was all that pressure, on Veach and Co. to rebound from it almost, right? Like, okay, we just gave up one of our best star players. The whole offseason was how do we fix that element? We haven't even had that this year.
right. Yeah, and despite the fact that we've pretty much gotten rid of half this team,
Right, right.
God,
Or
does it really? Does the math come down to about that?
I'm sure it doesn't. But there's been a lot of significant players that will
Uh-huh.
not be Chiefs next year. I mean, you got
right.
Juan Thornhill, McCole Hardman, Frank Clark,
Juju,
uh,
Brown.
Juju, yeah, uh,
This ought to be really
Will
interesting then,
Saunders.
right? Because the team is going to look so different
It's
then.
going to look a lot different. Yeah, it's definitely going to look a lot different.
Wow.
It's
So,
fun to
are
see.
we in a rebuilding year? Is that what this is now?
I don't like saying
But you
rebuilding until we,
rebuild right after a Super Bowl win?
yeah.
Like, we use that terminology
The
right after
reason
a Super
because
Bowl
like I
win?
said, the team is just it's not like 2019 where we kept most of our guys coming into the 2020 season. You know what I'm saying? That was right after the Super Bowl win. We kept most of the same team. That same team got us to another Super Bowl, but we didn't win. Um, but this one we did, we won another. But this time it's Beach is acting different. Like this time we're shipping off a lot of guys, or at least letting them walk. So kind of a different feeling from that. But I guess yeah, no, technically you can't call it a rebuilding year if they won, right? Like what is considered a rebuilding year? I guess my question is, like when the team has a lot of turnover,
I
um,
I think you
quarterback
have
loss.
to I think you have to have a couple of consecutive years of what you would consider disappointment in order for you
Okay,
to enter into like I think there has to be
So, i.e., a lot of early Chiefs years for our quote unquote adult lives,
yeah, we spent
when those
about
when those rebuilding years
20,
though,
30 years rebuilding.
when those
right? I
rebuilding years
mean,
though,
like, I don't think there's any doubt we as Chiefs fans definitely understand what rebuilding years are all about.
Right. Yeah,
So I would say that's why, like, I don't feel this is it, but there's definitely been a lot of releases, non-renewals, which, I would like to. I'm not a numbers person in terms of the cap and stuff, but I am curious to know how much money has this helped our situation because, several years ago we were like, here's $27 in our bottom line. That's what we got.
right?
So all of that is very curious, but I definitely wouldn't say that it's rebuilding. I think it's just kind of trusting the bones and moving forward with bringing in the pieces that don't cost as much.
And
Sure.
I think your team definitely has to also be in a place where either the season you're currently in or just were in was a veteran heavy team. So we did lose, quite a few people to free agency, but thinking about the counterparts to those people that were on our team that are younger, they're there ready to step up that they proved this past year. To rebuild, you have to be someone like, maybe the Carolina Panthers right now, or oh gosh, I'm trying to think of anyone else. Maybe you could even consider the Green Bay Packers, depending on where the Rodgers situation lands. Those teams were weak or underdeveloped in their youth talent, either this past season, the past couple of seasons, heavily relying on veterans who have either left the team or look like they're about to leave the team, things like that. That's what defines a rebuilding year. I mean, I was just thinking today, like, we're in theory going to talk about our awards season. I'm still really curious if we ever get to that. But I was just thinking, like, okay, if I was to name a rookie of the year, who's our rookie of the year? Because there's argument for three, four different people almost. So it's like we do have elements that need to be rebuilt within the team, but we don't need to rebuild the whole team. And I think that's what keeps us away from a rebuilding
Sure.
year title.
I'm just trying to figure out what the rules are because apparently going to the AFC Championship is considered being in a rebuilding year, even though that's what you did the year before.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the rules. That's all. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're in uncharted territory as Chiefs fans, where we're having success, and that doesn't feel good when it comes to these off-season things. Is we don't
Yeah,
know
it
what
makes
we're
us
doing.
suspicious. Like, this is too good to be
This is too
true.
good to be true. And I'm waking up from the dream, and it'll be 2011, and it'll still be, yeah,
Oh my
whomever.
gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we're
It's
good. We don't need to hot tub time machine back there.
No, thank
it's
you.
it's it's pretty interesting having conversations because I'm in several fantasy groups with other fan bases. Like one of the most vocal guys in one of my fan bases, in one of my fantasy groups is a Cardinals fan, and you just think about what they're going through. It's like,
I think
yeah, I
that
was once like you.
that could be a team also, yeah, considered it a rebuilding element,
They are definitely in a rebuilding
Yeah,
year. That there's no question that's a rebuilding team.
yeah,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
just them, and then like I have a Lions guy in the group. It's like, yeah, we were like you once. I remember those days. Just now we can sit up at the top.
Man, it's being able to say the line sitting at the top. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Feels
Right.
different. But before we get
Yeah.
too much more into it, do we have some positive yards to talk about? We just went through 4 weeks not talking to each other almost. You know, what's been going on? How are we doing? What's positive?
I don't know if that really considers like super positive yards, but I mean, it's been a good time to really kind of focus on other sports, like
Hmm.
with the season being ended. I thought that I would get into the XFL and the USFL. I've like 0% interest in either. But I have been watching a lot of NBA and a lot of hockey. So I've been actually been.
Wow,
I went to a hockey
nice.
game on was it last Thursday?
Oh,
Yeah,
little
when a
little
hockey.
Dallas Stars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dallas Stars versus the St. Louis Blues.
Ooh, how's that?
Nice.
It was fun. It was fun. It's not my first Stars game. I've been to I think at least one or two before. But yeah, it definitely. It's more. It's one of those sports for me. It's more interesting to watch in person than on TV.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, good time with that. And then of course, my Lakers are playing right now. We are in the playoffs. You know, y'all doubted us and called it a rebuilding year.
There
Uh,
you go. There you go.
Oh man.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it. Just kind of being able to focus a little bit more on some of the other sports I'm interested in, other than football. It's
Nice.
been nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. How about you?
I have been focused on my two boys, which at times with their schedules feels like I have a whole sports team, whatever sports you want to pick. That's not golf individually or like tennis doubles, but feels like a lot. So we've been a lot of basketball in our corner, youth sports, a lot of basketball. Track season is upon us, of course. So one is running track, and then I'm coaching again this year. So we're just trying to keep our head above water and do all the things. But y'all, and I know we said that we would never account weather into positive yards because of all that
Because
stuff,
that's
but
just boring.
I
Yeah.
I think part
believe
of that was
it
it's
has.
like that was the only thing we were talking about for a
It
while. It's
was.
been a while,
Okay,
so you
okay, okay. But this truly is a positive yards, though, is that I do believe here on the valley floor, maybe not in the mountains entirely yet, but I think our winter is finally over. And it is
yeah,
only April 15th or 16th or whatever it is. So
yeah, because y'all been going every time I see like one of your stories on social media, it's just like caked in
it
snow, and
won't
I'm
stop,
looking outside
right?
at my own weather. I'm like, yo, like it's not
This
even
was a
cold over
winter
here.
that just would not stop. So
Yeah,
I do have to give a shout out positive yards for
that's fair.
spring sports, and then also the fact that we actually it feels like spring finally.
There's
That's
And
there's a
fair.
I'm
spring.
grateful.
Yeah.
Yes, they say,
There's other
and it's funny
seasons.
because right there are other seasons, and with where I'm at in life personally, like I always think my mom's always like, it's just a season. I'm like, it's the longest dang season, mom.
For real though. Yeah, y'all was going through
So
it for
yeah.
real.
Right. All right. So yeah, that's what we've got going
Yeah.
on over here.
Yeah.
No, and Billy,
Yeah,
Billy,
I'm
what
what
you
about
got,
I'm
you?
man?
I'm
Positive
definitely
yards.
jealous of you. Like this last week, we were in the 80s. Life was great. It felt so good. And then,
Whew.
yeah, it got down to like mid 30s last night. So,
What?
yeah, it's fun. It's good times, right? No, and this coming week should be nice. But oh gosh, positive yards wise, yeah, nothing as exciting as that. I was just going to talk about how much I love the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. That movie is
Oh, you
just
saw it.
ah,
Okay.
dude. I mean, it honestly, I think I can absolutely with confidence say my favorite movie of the past few years.
So
To
couple
take off my
questions for you then.
Really?
yeah.
Couple questions for you. So did you play the games?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Huge
So
Dungeons and Dragons fan, so that played into it a lot.
okay. Gotcha. Okay. So do you think it was because I've heard it was really good, but
Yeah.
do you think people who haven't played the games will be able to
Uh,
enjoy it?
Definitely, yeah. If you're just going into it, I mean, because at no point in time do they try to even like really hard connect it to the game. It's just it happens to be in the game setting.
Sure.
And so like they're never talking about like the different classes of the game or the different rules that kind of come into the game and try to apply it to the movie. They just made a high fantasy heist movie that happens to be in the Dungeons and Dragons world, and it's phenomenal. Yeah,
That's dope.
I mean, I've been thinking about the movies that have come out in the past few years. Probably the one that was my favorite before this would be Dune, and I would honestly put it on par with Dune as far as enjoyment,
Oh,
going to
sweet.
see it.
Can I ask you something about Dune? Did you
Please,
read the book
I did. Um,
and
and comparing it to the
compare
yeah.
the two? Yes, please.
So I've struggled with this my whole life because I'm a huge reader too. And for
Mhm.
the longest time, like definitely as a kid and growing up, and probably even through most of college, if a movie didn't respect the book's materials, I would
Uh-huh.
tend to not like the movie. I'd be like okay
Right.
with it. One of my biggest struggles is like my favorite book of all time is Starship Troopers, and if you read the book and then you see the movie, the only thing they share are names. Honestly,
Right.
they're so opposite of each other, and so I've always,
I didn't even know
carried.
Starship Troopers was a book.
Yeah, yeah, originally a
That's
book. Yeah,
that's news to me. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
absolutely amazing book. One of my favorite books ever written. It's the one I can read once a year, and I love it every single time. One of my favorite authors of all time, and Robert Heinlein. Like, just absolutely, absolutely wonderful work. And the movie's just
Man.
the complete opposite of it, and so I've always kind of carried a grudge with that with the movie. But then, I started to watch that movie in a different light, where it's like, okay, this is a parody of the book. And so I changed, partway through college, where I'm just like, all right, as long, if somebody takes a book and adapts it into a movie and they just do a good job with what they put on the screen, like let's just forget it was a book for a second and let's just see how that story was on the screen, then I tend to be
Hmm.
okay with things, um, and a lot more. accepting of it. I think Game of Thrones helped us a lot because Game of Thrones really diverged off of the books very quickly as the HBO show goes, but the HBO show stayed good for a good chunk of time,
Right.
even despite the books.
I was gonna say, I was saying it's hard to get it bad after
Yeah, it
that.
started to get bad after what was seventh season or whatever it was there. So things like that. I mean, one thing with Dungeons and Dragons though is that you write your own story when it comes to the games. It's you, your friends playing it. It's all paper and pen and imagination. So there's never like any story that they would be able to violate. Uh, there are certain things that have to be certain ways in order for it to be Dungeons and Dragons still, but yeah, I think they benefited a lot from that, and then they just didn't take it too seriously too, which is really great. You know, they
Gotcha.
they kept it like yeah in the universe. They kept it to the universe's existence. You could point on a map the different cities they were in, and different like high level characters in there and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, yeah, it did a really great job. It's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it to anyone.
Nice. Okay.
No, when it
Sorry to
came to
take us
Dune,
off our
though. No, yeah,
tangent. I just
I
think
just realized. Oh,
uh,
wait, you asked about Dune, though. Yeah, when it came to Dune, I thought the adaptation was pretty good too, and I'm really excited for the second movie to see how they finish out the book and
okay.
that series. But
Yep.
because Dune got a little weird towards the end. If
I haven't
anyone's
seen it.
anyone who's read the book just it's somebody didn't handle a lapse of time very well as a writer. Um, and
Uh-uh.
so it'll be really interesting to see how they put that on the screen.
They'll probably have to change some stuff, huh?
Right. Absolutely. So I'm really curious. I really like the
Cool.
movie and can't wait for the second one now. We still got to do our
Nice.
pop culture show, guys. We haven't
Yeah,
done it yet.
we will. There's
I
still plenty
know, we
of
totally
summer.
do.
There's still plenty of off season to do all of this stuff. Like,
But yes, I'm
There
like,
is.
oh, we have to hop on it. It's like really hot and relevant right now.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Oh,
what did y'all
man.
see? Air?
Haven't seen
Yes.
Air.
I
Have
haven't
not.
seen it
Is
yet
it
either.
good?
Oh, I haven't seen
Raw,
it.
you haven't seen it
Oh,
yet?
no.
No, stuff kept happening, but I do
What?
plan on seeing it this week. Yeah, no, we were going to see it last weekend. One of our boys got COVID, so
Oh,
Oh no.
it's the
Oh
gift that
no.
keeps on giving. It's still
yeah,
out there.
Right.
It's still
yep.
out there,
But
man.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, we'll definitely get into it. I mean, if y'all want to do a show, if we don't have a plan for, I know next week is the draft, right?
And next week I
Yes,
am
we're
out of
talking.
town, so
You're
I
out of
will
town.
Oh,
not.
that's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Yeah, it is
So
so Ralph.
our next show will be after the draft,
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. Okay. So we have to talk about the draft, and then from there, I think we can.
Yeah,
One of
because
the following
there'll
weeks
be
we'll do this.
some news to discuss from there.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
So,
sure. Yeah,
We definitely gotta get into
with it
the
happening
draft
in
results.
Kansas City
Yeah.
and the picks that we've got. So, yeah, we'll be able to talk about some Chiefs
The
things
Kelsey
after,
Jam.
which
Yeah.
right?
me personally, I'm really curious about the draft and how it's going to impact travel here, because of course we just opened that
Oh,
new
it's gonna be
airport.
trash.
Um,
Right.
and I'm actually flying out to Tampa on Wednesday and flying back in Tuesday. So I'm curious, like,
Mhm.
if I'll end up seeing, any of these. I won't recognize a single one of them because I don't
Yeah, I was
even,
gonna say.
yeah.
You
So
don't
it
know
won't
who they
matter.
are.
But I'm sure there'll be people just nerding out. It's like I gotta imagine people will start trickling into town Wednesday for the draft itself. Who will I see? Will I see any names,
If
anything
not
like that?
sooner, right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
of course on the way out of town, will I be passing them the other way? And then just I think this will be a really interesting test for the new airport here too, because
Right.
Mm.
it's like of all the people I've talked to that have experienced it in some manner, everyone's split 50-50 on if they like it or not, because man,
Really?
yeah. I mean, yeah, here, if we want to talk about the real boring stuff of Kansas City, I don't know. I don't know how you two ever felt, but I love the old terminal setup.
I
I
hated
love
it.
the fact that I could show up about 30 minutes before my flight and be fine. And
There's
now
no
it's,
Same.
outlets. There
yeah,
were
but
no outlets anywhere in that terminal.
and so you
Yes,
would want
it
to
was
show up to your flight.
extremely antiquated. Yes.
Yeah, you would want to show up to your flight 30 minutes before because there was literally nothing to do in the airport. You're like, I don't want to sit around
Nada.
for an hour, just like even to go to the bathroom, you have to go through TSA each time. But,
Right.
I could show up to the airport. Like this one time, I forgot I had a knife in my backpack. while I was
Oh,
traveling. I go through TSA and they're like, "Hey, you can't take this on the plane." I'm like, "Oh, are you sure?" Whatever. And so they made me take it back to my car, which I just parked in the lot, literally outside of the terminal. I was able to walk across the street, put it in my car, walk back in, and still be like 5 minutes later than I intended to be.
That's amazing.
It's just like that's never gonna happen again.
no.
It never. So I am a little sad about that, but I am really excited to see how it's set up new. So that'll be my whole experience. I won't even talk about my trip to Tampa when we do our next podcast. I'll just talk about the airport. I'm sure it'll be great.
Why are you going to Tampa?
I visit my mom.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna go hit
Virgin
up the.
enemy territory.
Yeah, exactly. And see if I can find Tom Brady. Ask him some questions.
He might be out there from
Get
these pictures from Instagram.
yeah,
They're
get
always
an
on the
autograph
beach.
for Hung and send it your way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it hang
yeah.
it up on your wall for
All
me?
these,
Hey,
everything he's
I'll take
posting
it, you know.
post
I mean, I'm
post
not
retirement.
dumb.
Right. Everything he's posting post
Stubborn,
retirement looks
but
like a Haynes ad, like just a bunch of shirtless men on the beach
Honestly.
throwing the ball to each other.
they're all
I'm
thirst traps, you guys. They're
yeah,
all
I'm just
thirst
like, what's
traps.
going on, sir?
Because Reese Witherspoon won't date him or something. I don't know.
Reese Witherspoon.
Is it Reese? Is
Reese
that the
Witherspoon.
rumors? Isn't it the rumors?
Oh
Is
my
that the rumor?
gosh.
I have not heard this.
Yeah, like both sides, both of their courts had to come out and be like, no, there is nothing true about this. No, they are not dating.
Really?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was
That's
Reese
funny.
Witherspoon.
Oh,
That
Yeah,
is a
man.
celebrity whose name not even on the top. I mean, she's an attractive woman and all, but
right.
not even on the top
It
10.
wasn't even on the radar.
Yeah, who I would be
Oh,
like, it's Tom Brady's next girlfriend or whatever.
right, right. Oh man. All right. Yeah, and so what off-season news is there? I know we've signed a couple of players that I couldn't even name for you, and I'm pulling up it now. It's
Richie James.
okay, there we go. Then Byron Cowart and Phil Hoskins. So a couple of defensive tackles there, from the Colts and the Panthers respectively, I believe.
Right.
I know nothing about either one of those players.
I don't either.
Oh man.
I saw this funny meme where they signed Richie's names, which I don't know anything about him. I'm just going to go off the fact that he's from the Giants, and we ain't heard his name when he was on the Giants. So we'll
Right.
see how good he actually is. But people are hyping it up, and I seen this meme where it said Chiefs fans every time they sign a mid player, and then they showed a picture of a video of Matt Nagy dancing at the parade.
Right. Yeah, and that's how I think about it. Is like clearly our back office knows what they're doing. So if they're signing some guy I've never heard of, I can't wait until he's the fan favorite halfway through the season.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
Um.
but
Gosh.
no, I didn't see too much.
No. That's about the extent of it. I mean, yeah. When it comes to defensive line, like you were just saying earlier, we lost Saunders, Clark. Gone. We're missing some guys who were pretty key roles there. We still have Jones, of course. We still have our rookie and Karloffis there.
Right.
Still have some of the basic pieces and all, but yeah, Saunders and Clark would definitely be on the end of bigger names. So it's going to be about finding replacements for them, and it looks like these are the guys lining up to potentially be that.
Yeah. Well, I guess yeah. Did we talk about what was his name from the Niners?
Oh, I can never pronounce his last name. Charles Amin Omen Ihu.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
yeah. I think that was while we were still recording. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right. That was like mid
yeah,
recording the last time we did.
yeah. He's
You're right.
exciting.
Yeah, he will be a
It'll be
great
fun.
signing for sure. And then Nandi, of course, re-signed as well, which is huge for us. So
Right.
you know, be fun to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I think for the most part, the biggest off-season news since we last did a podcast was just the OBJ stuff.
Which I know there was a lot of people wanting him to sign with the Chiefs. I was never
There
in that
were.
camp. I
I was not either,
yeah.
especially for the price, which he claims he was like, because the rumor was he was wanting 20 million, right? And then he had to
Uh-huh.
come out and say that he wasn't asking for 20 million. But then he gets signed for 18 million with 15 million guarantee. I'm like, that's still too much.
That's
Like,
that's a
so
lot of money for somebody
that's
who
a,
will probably end up tearing their ACL during the season,
yeah,
right? Like, I
right.
mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Don't
is he
put
gonna
that
finish the
omen on
season?
anybody. Come
I
on.
won't. You're right.
We
You're
ain't putting
right.
it
But
on it. It's a track record.
and
It's a
that's why I
track
didn't want
record.
us to sign him either. Like if he had a clean bill of health for his whole career and the talents he still clearly has, then I'd probably be a lot more excited and wanting us to sign him. I just can't remember the last time he made it through a full season.
I
And
guarantee, y'all.
I'm sure there is a season or two he's done a full season of, but I it doesn't stick out in memory.
OBJ is robbing folks. He is robbing franchises, man. Like,
Hey,
I mean,
Look,
am I
good
saying
for
he's a
if
him.
bad player?
franchises are doing it though,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's on them. I'm
yeah,
sorry. The man is just being smart with his
oh,
career, what time he has left,
absolutely.
sure.
building, banking.
No, it's I
That's on them.
at no point in time will I be laughing at OBJ. I'll be laughing at the people signing OBJ, right? Like
Yeah, that
it's
Sure.
it's like good for him, right? I wish I could make that kind of money with a bum knee, but you know, for
Right?
some reason
Wouldn't
people
that be
won't
nice?
sign me. Yeah, for some people,
Wouldn't that be
for
nice?
some reason they won't
Yeah.
sign me out there in the NFL. I don't know why.
you and me both. I'm
You and
um,
me
like,
both.
I would be a treasure
yeah, you're ready to go.
for
So,
some team out there, right? I'm
yeah,
like,
see,
y'all don't know what you're missing out on. My work ethic, my consistency.
yeah, the locker, you just elevate any locker room, It's like you can't put a price on that, can you? It's
Work ethic alone,
Nope.
Hong can make an NFL team. It's just the other stuff. Like, you probably need to put on like a couple 300 pounds, maybe. Um, maybe sprint a
You
four
know,
three.
oh man,
oh man.
that's too funny. All right.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of yeah. Okay, so we talked about OBJ briefly. Who did he end up going to again? It was
The Ravens.
the Ravens.
Ravens, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the team that doesn't even know if they're really going to have Lamar
They don't even
Jackson.
know if they got it. Who
Perfect.
yes. That's the whole thing is
Right?
a mess. Like
Who's
it's
gonna
the
throw to you, OBJ?
that's what I'm saying. Like if you got Snoop Huntley throwing to you, like if I'm a Ravens fan, like that's what I said, free agency fandom. You should be you should be allowed to pick a new team if you're a Ravens fan right now.
With
Because they don't
zero
care about y'all.
judgment. Yeah, exactly.
They don't care
Zero.
about y'all, man. Don't invest in them.
Oh man. I will say one of the fun things, or one of the things I am kind of looking for with the XFL getting so big, and maybe I'm just hearing about it being so big because we're so close to St. Louis and the Battlehawks are shockingly good. Okay, I say shockingly good. Maybe everyone expected them to be good. I'm just hearing about them a lot.
Gotcha.
Is I'm really curious how much transition we're going to see then after the XFL season ends and who leaves the XFL to the NFL off of a good just name, right? Or like, they show
Yeah.
up really well in the XFL. How much is going to how much weight is that going to carry? And how
Well,
easy
that's
will it be to transition between the two as well?
yeah. Well, that's what I want for the XFL. I want the XFL in the USFL, whatever, to be kind of like the
The
minor
feeder
leagues or
leagues,
the you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like. But I think the issue with it, at least, is with drawing interest from the fan perspective, is just maybe, and this is maybe just me. I don't know anybody else who's been watching it, to be honest. Like I know everyone was there for that first weekend, but since then,
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people have been paying attention. But I don't know if spring football works. Maybe you do it during the season, like you do the G League and all these other ones.
Hmm.
But the thing with those is the
Do you
NBA
think that
actually is part of
divides
that.
the watch then?
I just think there's so many other sports going on right now. It's just hard for anyone to watch mid-level football.
I think
Mm.
if and I don't know when the XFL typically plays. I think if they were to play on Saturdays during the NFL season, it wouldn't be an issue. I
Yeah,
it,
no, that'd be great. Well, college football though.
but people like me, I don't care about college football at all.
Sure,
Like in the least, until KU, does good,
sure.
and then I'll pay attention for about 5 days until we suck again. Um, but like I think if like there was an XFL game on a Saturday though, I my attention might be drawn to it a little bit more. Whereas now on Saturdays, during the season, I'm usually watching soccer. I'm not watching football.
Right, right.
I think one thing that, or at least the reason I am hearing about it so much, XFL wise, is because of St. Louis, and St. Louis doesn't have an NFL team. If they had a,
Sure.
if XFL grew in those markets that lack NFL teams, I could see them having a lot more success, be it spring, fall. I remember looking through like the list of teams and where they're located, and it seems like the ones that had the most popularity surrounding them were definitely the ones that weren't based in, NFL locations.
Right. That
Uh,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, and so yeah, be it spring, be it fall, huge. It's just I don't see them if they were to ever try to really like dig in and establish themselves in places like Dallas and New York and LA and all that. They won't have success. Where they'll have success is in places like St. Louis and other cities that just don't have a professional football scene at this time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you guys either you check out any of the USFL today?
Hmm.
Like, it has started, right?
I have
Yeah,
not.
I
It
didn't know
started
it
today.
started. I
Right.
honestly
So
didn't even know it still existed.
I was
So,
watching a little bit of the Houston Gamblers while I was at the gym today.
Houston
I don't know
Gamblers.
remember the name of the team they were playing, but yeah.
And that
So I
tells you,
got dropped
yeah.
a pass, and I was like, okay, I'm not interested.
It's like, oh yeah, that's why you're playing there. Cool, cool, cool. Man. Yeah, I don't I think those two t leagues would really have to like work together too, Com
Become their own AFL, NFL.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like have their own playoffs, and then the winner of each league meet in their version of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'd be
Absolutely.
interested
That
in
would be
that.
kind of cool.
I would
Yeah,
probably watch that. Yeah.
Hmm.
All
but
right. Yeah,
so what else we got going on?
shoot. Just other than the draft looming, so I guess we could talk about that a little bit. Um, and then yeah, I guess our awards if we if we get there.
Wait,
Um,
wait, not today. I
yeah, wait,
mean,
hold
we
on.
can pump
We're
them
not
up
ready.
even further, and preview them a little bit more.
We'll do our
Right.
2023 awards in 2025. It'll be awesome. Um, yeah,
Right.
draft. I mean, I think both of you probably know more about college football than me. Before we talk about the draft as a whole, though, what do you all want to see the Chiefs do in this draft? Um,
Mm.
or what would you consider a success for the Chiefs? Or what would you consider a failure for the Chiefs, I guess?
I feel like I'm a broken record, but this the same thing. So we've pretty much gotten rid of like what most of our weapons, like receiver. So they haven't signed anybody. They didn't sign OBJ. They didn't sign oh boy from Arizona, Hopkins.
Hopkins, yeah.
They didn't sign pretty much anybody who was like a big name receiver that was available. They didn't even re-sign our own. Like we didn't re-sign Juju.
You
So
I'm looking through
what's
the
the
list
plan?
of free
Right.
agency signings for the Chiefs. The only skill position we had a signing of any kind on was Blake Bell, re-signing Blake
Right,
Bell.
right. Which is good to
Interesting.
have him back. But who? So do they have their eye on
But
somebody? I
he's
guess
not a
is
piece that's like, whoa,
I
That's
mean,
no,
yeah,
interesting.
he's
not even
right.
close. Not even close. Like him, yeah, we got him and we got
He's
Jody, and that's nice and everything. But
He's the guy I put a
uh,
five
that's
dollar
yeah.
bet on to score a touchdown, so I can walk away with $100, $1,000. It's
there you go.
Hey,
Yeah.
when was, let me pose this question if you guys know off the top of your heads. When was the last time with our very first pick? When was the last time we went defense
Was it
with
Don
our
Terry
first pick?
Poe?
Oh
wait,
God.
our first
That
round pick wasn't? Didn't we draft?
Our very first pick.
Yeah, it wasn't Karlaftis our first pick last year,
Oh, that's a good question. Huh, let me see.
see, and I don't recall
or
that
was
off the
it
top of
Sky
my
Moore,
head. That's why I'm like,
or was it
I feel like
McDuffie?
Sky went a little bit.
I think
See, now I'm all mixed up.
Yeah, I
But
think
I'm
last year we
I'm
did, but
curious.
then after that, I think you're right.
Okay.
I think it was Poe.
Huh.
Yeah. Raw, are you looking it up?
Yeah, so we it's like was Brian Cook our first pick?
Oh, was Brian Cook our pick last
Here,
year?
I got a list here. Let me see.
All right, we're looking. We're looking. On top of things here. That's what we are.
So Trent McDuffie.
But yeah, looking into this because I feel like
Trent
if we
McDuffie was
went
the first pick.
defense,
First.
it would be another situation and be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
So Trent
shore up the
McDuffie was our
defense
first pick
last
of
year.
last year. Yeah. Trent McDuffie. Then we had
okay,
Karlaftis, Sky Moore, Brian Cook, Leo Chenal, Joshua Williams, Darian Kennard, Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco, and then Nazi Johnson.
But yeah, I think kind of to your point there though, Hung, is like even with McDuffie, and McDuffie did have a good season, but he wasn't like a household name like Pacheco quickly became. So when was the last time we really
mm-hmm.
kind of signed a
Right,
defensive draftee who became a household name quickly? And I mean,
right.
that's got to be Poe maybe at a stretch, but Eric Berry, really. I mean,
Yeah,
and Berry was our first year at college, right, Raw? So that would have been 2009. Um,
Cool.
so it's been
what I don't remember. Let me see.
yeah, I know that's when we drafted Eric Berry, but
I thought he was '07. Let me check though.
oh, am I tripping? I might be tripping. I think there's yeah, it's
He
been a
was
long
taken in the 2010 draft. Yeah,
2010,
okay,
yeah,
fifth overall. Yeah, fifth overall, 2010.
that's right. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've drafted someone who became a household name as far as defense goes, it
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah.
So yeah, be curious. Now, that being said, like I feel like a lot of our defensive draftees have been good enough to get the job done. Okay, yeah, we say that we won the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, good enough. And
We did all right.
they've been all right. And I know McDuffie, like he had some crazy stat. Like I don't think he gave up a touchdown pretty much in any time he was guarding. Now the question is, who was he guarding all those times? But yeah, whenever he started, I don't think he gave up a touchdown at any point. So that's a good stat to have. Now, can that be something he does now that we don't have as many veterans there and the
Right.
secondary? Because there was that one game this past year where we started all rookies in our secondary, wasn't it? Like, or like the oldest guy in our secondary was a second year player. It's
Something like that.
insane. Yeah. Um, so it would be nice to have somebody flashy out there and able to make moves. Hmm. I mean, we're forgetting the
It'd
obvious.
just be really interesting to see if we would pick up somebody who's big, well known from the
Uh-huh.
collegiate level coming into this
So,
level.
so
So yeah,
y'all expect
I find that would be interesting because usually we reserve that for a running back or wide receiver,
Right.
historically speaking. I think.
No, you're absolutely correct. The tight end, even, yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna stick with. I'd like to see them grab a wide receiver because I feel like if they passed up all these vets, they must have somebody on their list.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think we just extended Watson too, didn't we? Wide
Jalen
receiver
Watson or
We
wise.
did.
Justin
We just
Watson.
did so.
Or did we
Mhm.
extend the defensive one? I forget what, because we have two
No,
Watsons, right?
offensive. Yeah,
We have two. Am I going crazy? Okay, yeah, we extended him. And I know, yeah, like him and Mahomes are starting to build a little
isn't
rapport.
our defensive guy Jalen Watson?
I don't
Jalen
know.
Watson's a defensive
And
guy.
our
Is he?
deep and
Justin
our
Watson.
offensive is our Justin
Justin,
Watson,
Justin
that's
right?
Watson.
it,
That's
yeah.
correct.
Okay.
And
And
and it was the
Justin was supposed
defensive
to
one that had the
renew.
longer touchdown this past year, so I have to.
Right.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah, it's so I think you got to be right. They must have somebody on their radar. That question is will we get them, but it'll
There's got to be. I don't. It just the lack of action. It's not the not signing the veterans that were available. It's the not re-signing the ones we had that makes
not
me wonder.
re-signing
It's
or
like,
signing anyone. Yeah.
yeah, it's the
Hmm.
combination of the two. I'm like, they cooking something up.
Uh-huh. Because I mean, we made moves on the defensive line, we made moves on the offensive line, and getting Taylor and re-signing Alec Reddy. What else do we got? Yeah, I mean, we signed plenty of defense and plenty of offensive line. We didn't do anything as far as skill positions go though. So
Right.
And we even lost
Yeah.
Rojo too, didn't we? Uh,
Yeah,
We
he's
even
with the I forgot who he signed with. He's with Dallas though.
for all 5 minutes he played for us this year. Yeah.
Right,
Oh, that's right.
Right.
He
exactly.
went there to replace Zeke, didn't he? In
Something like
theory,
that. I could be wrong, but
I think
he's
that
not a
sounds
Chief
right.
anymore. He is not a Chief. So yeah. They've been very quiet. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's and I think I'd even be okay if we ended up trading out of, the first round, right? I don't know much about any of the college prospects coming in, but whenever you're like the 30th pick or in that later half, it's just like how much talent is there that isn't going to be there in the first half of the second round, right?
Yeah.
So it's I know everybody's just like always hungry for the top 10 picks, top 15 picks even. Um, it seems like after that, it doesn't matter quite as much. If we could, trade away and trade down or, trade up to like a later round for more picks and just get more talent out there that we have to pick from when it comes to the offseason, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
For sure.
Well, and that's a strategy that works really well for our GM, for our team. I feel
Hmm.
like that they're able to do that so wisely with later picks. So I, like always, I really do feel that they're going to maximize that and use that to their advantage, and scope out the talent that's maybe a little bit further down.
Can you imagine Chiefs Twitter though if we trade out of the first round when the draft's in Kansas City? It's
It might
just
be on fire. It might
Union
light on
Union
fire.
Union Station may burn down.
Yeah.
No, our fans aren't that ratchet.
They're we're a passionate group. Very passionate group.
Yeah, but we're not like the Philly Eagles. I mean,
Oh man.
No, yeah, you're right. There's levels to this. There's definitely levels.
We're, we're degenerates. We're just not that many that level of degeneracy.
Y'all saw when UConn won a little kind of a side note, UConn won the championship.
mhm.
For
The
yeah,
the yeah,
basketball.
the national championship for basketball, and they're like kids breaking down the doors of the school halls and stuff like that.
Are you serious?
No, seriously. Yeah, like if my favorite website, Barstool, they showing videos of the kids storming campus and busting down doors of the campus
You're breaking
buildings
your
and things.
own university. Oh
That's
my word.
right. Act like you've been there, guys. Y'all blue bloods now, right? This is your fifth one.
Oh,
Act like you've been there.
Hey, you know
Like,
what? I
wow.
mean, props to UConn because not only in men's but in women's basketball, I don't think there's been any
Yes.
school that's won more championships in the past like decade
yeah, no,
than
they deserve their
those two
flowers. You just ain't
combined.
got to tear down the school.
Oh yeah, no. I
Right.
mean, just tear down some goalposts like KU fans do. That's all you need.
Right.
And goalposts are easily
Exactly.
replaceable. You don't need to be breaking into your
Exactly.
student union.
Yeah. Your class the next day, bro.
Right. Oh man, yeah, it always cracks me up seeing those people go nutty. I mean, honestly, I was a little bit surprised that something crazy didn't happen in Kansas City after, our first Super Bowl just here recently.
Hmm.
I really
Always do.
I was expecting something. I wonder if it was tempered a little bit by that 2015 win by the Royals, but um, yeah, we kept ourselves. I think the worst thing I heard about
See,
was the guy
we're
who
not ratchet.
I think the worst thing I heard about, when it came to the parade after that first win was some guy up in a tree like started falling out of a tree and his pants caught on
Yes,
a
I
branch.
remember that too. I
Yeah.
watched it. Yes.
Pulled off.
There's been a
That
couple
was
cheeks.
about as quote unquote exciting as it got. Yeah.
There's been a couple cheeks exposed during Chiefs Super Bowl win parades. There was another one from this year too, and then somebody put the two pictures side by side.
It's beautiful. It's art. Art is what it is. All right.
Yep.
I know we talked about it during our last meeting, but or our last podcast, and I had asked the question, who will have the most draft day draft? I don't know if you all have a different answer
I
to
don't know
that
what
now
that
that
means.
there's been, well, the movie draft, right?
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but it's been a while since I've seen it, so I couldn't tell you like what that's going to look
Like
like.
your guys' homework should be between now and next Wednesday should be to go watch Draft Day.
Draft day, right?
I still got to
But
watch Air, and
you still
it's a
got.
lot of sports. It's a lot of behind sports movies where it's mostly behind the scenes.
Because in draft
Uh-huh.
day, basically, what the premise is that he takes one draft pick that was like what the third overall or something, and flips it into like three first round draft picks somehow.
Yes,
Oh, okay, okay.
yes.
Essentially. So like, who's
And
going to have
yes.
that kind of draft?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
That sounds like a Brett Veach thing. No, that sounds like some crazy
I
Brett Veach.
don't know because that's because the draft day movie they're talking about like the Browns, the team like at the very bottom, and I don't know. I don't feel like we're in that
True,
desperation level
true.
of taking our one first round pick and flipping it into six different picks.
Right.
So okay,
Um,
then my backup pick for that,
uh-huh.
who was it? Was it the Panthers or the Bears? Who
Panthers.
who traded down the Panthers?
Panthers
What
traded a
are they
lot
cooking
to
up?
get the number one overall.
Oh, they traded a lot. So the Bears got their picks right.
So Bears, they got a couple of picks plus who was it, the wide receiver. So the Panthers, sold. I think they gave them like two draft picks this year and like two more in consecutive years, and then they got what's his name? Um, oh no, this is bad. But they're like number one wide receiver, so it could, okay, I could see it being the Bears then in that case.
The Bears gonna pull some draft day. That's
Pull
my
some draft.
put.
That's the
Read the receipts. Keep
read
the
the
receipts.
receipts.
Okay,
All right,
I'm picking the Bears.
throwing that in
I
there.
like it.
Chicago.
I don't really have. I don't know who it would be.
I just
I feel
for
like
me,
I need to know more first
well, and
about where each team is at.
and like, what back office do you trust to pull that off too, right?
Yeah.
None of them.
It's like the Panthers are traded quite a bit in order to get the number one overall pick. I was really expecting them to then trade that number one overall pick for something
Right. A
else,
lot of people were. Yeah,
and they
for sure.
haven't done it. So, are they holding out for the draft itself, seeing
Could
who's
be.
where? I remember I originally answered this with the Panthers because I really thought that they would end up getting some quarterback too that would be really good, and that's what they would have used this pick for. Now are they just gonna then instead send it? Who's that kid? Is it Bryce Young? Is that who it is out of college? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Some quarterback though that everyone's predicting to be going number one overall, which
Bryce Young.
is
Yeah.
always successful for every team that does it. It never backfires. Don't
Sure.
worry,
Sure.
especially when you're the Panthers. Um, yeah, how is Cam Newton doing?
Mm.
But yeah,
I
yeah.
heard he's doubling for Whitney Houston's parts in movies.
He trying to make
Oh,
a comeback. He trying to make a comeback.
You
he
trying?
trying. He trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be watching any of the draft? Just following it online?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in Kansas City, so
Watching it,
I'm
I
interested
do
just
love
for that.
watching it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, following all the stories and all the players and statistics and how this one did in the combine, who's visiting what, all of
Sure.
that gets me. But watching it, I do love watching it and hearing all the stories and
Yeah.
everything that comes out with each, as they get ready for each pick. So,
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I watch parts of the combine and the draft. I just
mhm.
the whole Lenardi, whoever, those experts, quote unquote experts, are just guessing. I just don't listen to those
What
guys. Like,
what's his
you guys
name?
do not
Mel
know.
whatever.
Yeah, Mel Kiper,
Yeah,
like
I
those guys. I'm
can't.
just like,
Right.
Yeah.
With
yeah,
his.
okay.
Yeah.
It feels
Hey,
like a waste of time to me.
right. So man, these guys get paid a lot of money to make up a
Yeah,
whole lot of stuff that
yeah,
never
That's what
holds
I'm
up.
saying, y'all. It's like
yeah.
weather people, right? It's like
Right.
weather people.
It is. Are we talking about?
Oh man.
See, yeah, we're back there to the
Yeah,
weather
no, I'm
Okay.
people.
not on rants where I see like the weather. They'll tell me like they'll say, "Oh, there's a 50% chance of rain." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, it's just a flip of the coin. Thanks. Oh
Like, what
man,
do you mean?
50%. All right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can do that for
Right.
however much I get
I,
paid.
I I'll take a. You can pay me less even, and I'll do that. I'll make stuff up. It'll be great.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Cool. So draft. I'll let you all know if I hear rumor of anyone in the airport that I won't recognize and probably
Yes,
walk right
please.
by. I'll make
Look,
sure to call
hey,
that out.
Billy, if they are large people and look like they could like beat your butt, just take a selfie with them and have them sign something, okay? Okay. Just saying. Figure it
Just
out later.
My entire
So
Twitter
AI schools will
timeline
have
up until my plane
expenses.
takes off on
Uh,
7 o'clock on Wednesday night is just gonna be me posing with random, vaguely
be like,
athletic-looking
yo,
people.
look who I ran into, and then allow the comments, allow Twitter to do its thing.
Yeah, and
They
allow them
will,
to
they will do
figure it
for
out.
you.
Oh, that'll be so fun. That's a good. Oh man.
If they look super fit, super
But
big, there
I'll
you
sprinkle
go.
in some like normal people too, though, through it all, and just really
Yeah,
throw people
like
off.
Paul Rudd. You might
Yeah.
run into Paul Rudd. Maybe he's coming to be a part of the festivities.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Right.
I'd lose my mind if I ran into Paul Rudd. That's for sure.
Oh, I bet you would.
God, he's the
Well, that would
man.
be cool. Get him on the show.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's his next stop after being on the Kelsey podcast. He definitely wants to come here, the
Hey,
State of the Kingdom.
I'll be like, hey, why was Ant-Man mid, in your opinion?
It
So that no, I won't ask him that. No, I wouldn't say that. I actually thought that movie was fine, by the way.
was good. It was good. I liked it a lot.
It's all right, yeah. I didn't think it was like amazing, but I was like, all right.
Yeah,
It's all
the
right.
same
I don't
man.
understand the
Best part of that movie was the last 5 minutes where he was having that existential crisis while walking around with the
right.
cake in his hands.
Yeah, you can. Everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
Oh
That was
no,
really exactly. That was so relatable.
yeah.
Oh,
Newsflash: Anthony Davis is hurt again.
but all right, cool.
Basketball
So
news.
yeah,
Yeah.
water's wet. All right.
Right. Anyway,
Moving on. All right, we're doing it. I'm forcing this to happen. We have what, 10 minutes here. We can knock out a quick award show. I don't think we have anything groundbreaking to talk about, right? This is
Yeah.
this is the zero research, just what comes first to your mind award show that we've been talking about for about 5 weeks now.
That's my theme music. So yeah, go ahead, people.
Let's throw it on loop. All right. The first one, any given MVP. So this, my thought with this one was just at any moment during the season, who was like the most valuable person or element or whatever in a specific game, maybe the whole season long, whatever, however you want to define MVP, you get to define MVP for the first award going out.
Sure. Okay. Are we doing nominees? Like, how are we doing this? Or we just
No,
picking
no,
somebody?
just everybody gets to have their
Okay.
Who
own.
your pick would
Yeah,
be.
Okay.
this is
Well,
super professional.
I'll say I've got three that instantly come to my mind, but between uh Jarek McKinnon, Nick Bolton, and Isaiah Pacheco, I think it's no question Pacheco is my MVP.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and I hate to also agree because it's the same answer and that's no fun, but I would definitely say that it was Isaiah Pacheco as well. He was just one of those, like, you weren't sure if anything was going to happen, because especially running back by committee is how we operate and everything. So I would definitely say it was him. He shined. He touched the ball for the first time and he just freaking shined. And it was just how the season went. Like, just kept feeding him, and he just kept growing and growing and showing us, wow, this is an amazing player.
I mean, going into the season, I don't think a single one of us even one, we couldn't pronounce his name, and two, like, he was
Billy, speak for yourself.
right. You did teach us how to do it. That's right. Um, no, I mean, yeah, going into the season, everyone thought, okay, is CH going to rebound? Is it going to be Jet McKinnon just leading the way? Is Rojo going to, be the guy who we all want him to be? No one was talking about Pacheco. And then by the end of the season, people are buying his jersey out, right? Like,
Right.
I can absolutely get that. Now, mine's Rick Burholder, though, all the way.
Ooh, that's a good
Oh,
one. You
Yeah,
didn't say
that's a good
non-player.
one. Okay.
yeah.
You didn't say non-player.
Yeah, most
Right?
valuable
That's a
person. Absolutely.
most valuable person. Did you say person? We'll check the tapes.
Well, you can go back and
Yeah.
check the tapes. I think I said it, but just yeah, most
Okay.
important individual to the season with him without a doubt. Not just because of the magic that was worked to whatever voodoo black magic he pulled out of wherever to get Patrick Mahomes to be healthy enough to keep playing through the postseason after that high ankle sprain just all year. It felt like injuries were almost no impact on the team. Because even if somebody did get injured, there was always the next man up who did a good enough job. I think the name that we missed the most throughout the entire year, especially me, was McCole Hardman. Because I had made
Hmm.
that accurate prediction of him being the receiving leader. Uh, but it's like other than the ones and twos there though, we had a very healthy team all year long. There were even a couple of games where our injury report was blank. That doesn't happen in football ever.
Right. No facts.
Yeah, football is a sport that you have a 53-man roster because inevitably 20 of your players are going to have some kind of injury that prevents them from playing.
Right.
And that just didn't happen to us all year. So it's him for me.
All right, can I change my answer to Jackson Mahomes because he's been quiet this year? That's my most valuable person.
I think he got to the point where his brother was like, "I'm going to beat your ass if you're not quiet."
Take your
So-
Twitter.
Like,
Take your
And
phone playing away.
I didn't mind Jackson. Seriously, I didn't mind him. Like, trust
no,
me,
I didn't. I'm
I
messing
don't.
around. I'm
Right?
messing around.
But it's
Oh.
funny that I'm like, his brother probably really was like, "Bro, I literally will beat your ass."
Dude, you gotta
There's probably
stop.
a person behind the scenes.
Oh man. Too good, too good. Yeah. Uh, play of the year. So either let's expand it to even drive, but what when you're thinking about your favorite play that happened with the Chiefs all year long, what was it, or what was your favorite drive or
Oh, this
moment
is
in a
tough.
game?
This is tough. Hmm.
See,
I
now
don't
I
want
feel
to.
so unprepared. I'm like,
I've got.
I don't. Ooh.
See,
Are
there
we
has
doing
to be something.
playoffs or regular season?
Either.
Okay. Again, I have multiple answers, but I'll just go with one because I want to stick with the regular season. Um, I feel like playoffs a little bit too easy because there's a lot to name just in the Super Bowl alone.
Uh-huh.
But regular season, I'm going to say game-winning touchdown from Jerick McKinnon against the Houston Texans, a game that
Okay.
we struggled in and ended up, pulling it out, showing that we're actually a tough team, and winning our division.
I can get with that.
So, yeah, that's the one I'm going with.
All right, Hung. Did you need a few seconds still?
I still do. Yeah.
I think for me,
Like
I
even
mean, this will be a throwback to very early on. It's got to be that interception for the 99-yard return, from Watson. What that was a franchise record, longest pick six. It was great. It's seeing the rookie get out there and do something huge like that. And I think it caught us all off guard because not only would we not have expected our defense to pull something like that off, but then for a rookie
Mhm.
player in our defense to be able to pull that off, definitely one of my more favorites, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, shoot. Then I think from the offensive side, there was that touchdown scramble from Mahomes where he launched himself 5 yards, including hand on the ground to propel himself further forward. Still, who is that against? Against the Seahawks or whatever, and he barely touches the pylon to get in for a touchdown. That might be my favorite
Oh
offensive
yeah,
play.
no, I love that play.
That was a really good one. It's
Yeah,
a great
there's,
picture
there's gonna be a lot
opportunity.
of lack of Mahomes selections by myself because it's Mahomes. We can
There's
do this.
Mahomes. Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
freaking business as usual. Yeah,
but yes, that was a freaking bonkers play. The freaking backyard dad play touchdown from the game against the Buccaneers was crazy.
Yeah, where it's like it looks like he's about to run into the end zone and then he just stops right on the scrimmage line and just doinks it up to who was it, CEH or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
the
that was a good
Jumpman
one.
Jordan touchdown from the Cincinnati game that we ended up losing, but still,
Right.
yeah, Mahomes has got quite a few.
Yeah, it turns out he's a good football player. All right, Hung. Have we have you Googled it enough?
I was
Have you
trying to
come up
buy
with
a few
a
moments
few more
because
moments you need
Bruno
a
was trying to
couple?
bark here. No, Bruno was barking a lot. I want to say, I think, man, the 99 yard was definitely amazing. I think that one was
Absolutely.
definitely one of those that just made the top list. But I think another play, because I would say, like, if it wasn't Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon would have come in for the most valuable person, if you will,
Right.
this season. But there was the other really where Jerick McKinnon did take the pass, like against the Broncos. It was against the
Oh,
Broncos,
that
right? Where he
no
took it for,
looker or whatever it was.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and he took it for the
Yeah.
touchdown, and he ran like, well, how many? I don't even remember how many yards it was, but I think that was a substantial one where we had started to see like how reliable he was at that point, because that was a later game, of course, in the season than the regular season.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it was just so beautiful and amazing. Let me see. Hold on. How many yards was this play? 56. So yeah, he took that pass 56 yards for a touchdown.
And was that
On that game, in that
was
game
that on
against
a
the
fourth
Broncos.
down too? Wasn't it like
Third and
third and
two.
two?
Third and two. Yes. So again, I think that was one of those, because those plays are fun. They're memorable.
Hmm.
They last more than like four yards, right? So I think that one was one of them for sure. But I
Absolutely.
Derek McKinnon was very close second for my most valuable MV person. And it was just one of those where it's like, man, we picked this guy up, and he didn't get a whole lot of production and usage in the season before, but here we are, we
Hmm.
picked him up, and he was able to be so and reliable for us. So that
Absolutely.
play
Absolutely.
for me, I'll pick that one just because y'all mentioned other great plays from the season as well.
Take it.
And
Absolutely.
Bruno's saying hi.
Hey,
Sorry.
Bruno.
Hi, Bruno.
I game that gave you a heart attack. This
Oh
can either be
God,
in a positive
this is
context or a
easy.
negative context.
This is easy.
Yeah.
This is easy for me. The AFC Championship. You could see I screenshotted my Apple Watch heart rate several
Uh
times where
huh.
it peaked at my heart rate peaked at 140 during the game.
Holy cow.
That's not good. And I have and
No.
not to brag, I have a
You're in
pretty
good
good
shape.
heart rate. Like
Yeah.
it's very low for resting. News usually sits at around the 60s. So that should tell you a lot. That should
Yeah.
tell you a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was tense. But boy,
It was
was it so
extremely
satisfying to
tense.
knock that out, to get that
Yes, it
win.
was.
You hung?
So that's fine.
I would say that one was probably mine as well. The ups and downs and back and forth went through that game because we had been in that situation the year before,
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd say that one would be it for me too.
I'm going out of the postseason and into the regular season. I'll say both games against the Broncos because the
Ooh,
Broncos were an absolute dumpster fire last year, or even probably the past few years or whatever. And I probably think we could all agree they're the bottom of the AFC West. I
for
also
sure.
gladly put my foot in my mouth frequently with my teammates at work, who a good chunk of them are based in Denver, so make fun of them for the fact that the Broncos haven't beaten the Chiefs since I think 2015, is it? And
Mhm.
I know the absolute like mud in the face I'm going to get when they finally do beat us, because it will happen at some point. And just twice this year, we go and play the Broncos, and they take us to the end of the game each time. Was less than
I don't
fun
care if
for
they
me,
beat
I
us
guess.
once.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I don't care if they beat us once in the next couple of years. They gotta beat us for the next 10 years like we've done them before they can start
Right,
talking
right.
again.
Man, it's like I like having that one team that we know we can beat, and that's been the Broncos lately. Even the Raiders have
Absolutely.
taken it to us a couple of times. The Chargers are good, no matter what we want to say.
The Chargers were my second choice for the
Yeah.
heart attack games.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially that one where we like what barely eked it out, 3 points or whatever in November.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, me and my love for kickers, so anytime we win by a field goal, always great.
And
Right.
All right, after this season, who's the next jersey you're buying? I think you've even talked about this before, Rob, but have you gone ahead and bought any of them?
Yeah, I did, and I feel like this is kind of anticlimactic, but I had to buy my first white jersey, because obviously because of the Super Bowl, and so I got a Travis
Kelsey.
Kelsey.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um, funny story about that, real quick. I had a Travis Kelsey. My first, I guess, jersey that I bought on my own was actually a Travis Kelsey jersey. It was like a $50 one I bought off eBay, one of them ghetto ones that a bunch of Kansas City fans wear in the stands. I've
Uh-huh.
been seeing y'all. You can tell.
yeah,
The
But
numbers are peeling on the back, and yeah.
yeah,
I know. But
but,
hold on, he's
but
not done. This is a good
no,
story.
well, I'm just saying, like it was. Yeah, I wore that jersey to every time I've been at Arrowhead, and every time we lost, including the Steelers divisional round game, where it was like 10 degrees.
Oh, and was
Uh,
that
so
was
yeah,
that the one where they beat us by only kicking field goals?
Yes, the
Yeah,
field.
great.
Yes, that
All
one.
right.
Yep, the Marcus Mariota game where we were winning, and then he catches his own touchdown pass, and then we end up losing.
Oh
Um,
my God.
the Houston Texans game, they came to visit us and kicked our ass at home. Yeah, I was just after all those, I was just like, yeah, I'm done with this jersey. I'm getting rid of it. And
Getting rid
then,
of it.
like,
Wait, but you didn't share the part about how like you wearing it in the games. Wasn't the red off as well? Like it didn't match
yeah, the
the other
red was
red
wrong.
jerseys?
Yeah, the red was weird. You
That's
said what now?
amazing. The red didn't match up with Chiefs red.
Yeah, no. The red was off. Yeah, it was a lot of problems. So I had to give
Amazing.
that one up. As much as I like me some Travis Kelsey, I'm like, I gotta let this go. So I'm replacing that one with an authentic one from the Nike shop. I paid my money. I paid my dues, people. Arrowhead, don't curse me next time I come up in there with the real deal on. Okay, I'm sorry for wearing the ghetto shit up in there.
You know,
They
I
saw
think
you.
they can respect that, we have to go through our glow up too. So,
All right.
you
Exactly.
know, especially now that tickets are so expensive.
Oh
So,
Right.
man.
No. Well, I might have just went to my last game at Arrowhead. Period. Anyway,
oh,
so it might not even matter.
Oh
right.
man. All right, Hung, how about you?
Man,
Who's the
how
next
about
player
for
you're
me?
You said what?
Uh, um, 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 I need to, I don't yet, believe it or not, with as many as I have, I don't own a Chris Jones or a Travis Kelsey one.
Mm.
And I need to add those to my collection. Like I
Maybe at least
always
get one.
hesitate buying jerseys of like younger players. I have that thing.
I think Kelsey's
Because
safe.
yeah, I think Kelsey's safe. Like Chris Jones is safe because if nothing else, it's iconic, and they were
Right.
huge, 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 huge parts of our franchise. So I think that I'm going to go with either one of those for my next 1 and 2 jerseys.
Absolutely.
love it.
I don't
Billy, you
own
gonna buy
any
one?
white ones though, because I'm with you, Raw. Like usually for me, it's red, right? Like
You
Chiefs,
gotta go with the
red. You wear
red,
our
yeah.
red,
Yeah.
but
It's
white is
always
just
been red.
nice and clean, and
Uh-huh.
it like goes with
Yeah.
sneakers
I
really
don't even know.
nicely.
I don't even know when I'm gonna wear it though, because I'm like, because when you're hanging out, you're watching a game, you're usually eating something,
Yeah,
food, something probably
right.
greasy or whatever. I'm just like, if I get a stain on this thing, I'm gonna be upset. So,
Exactly, exactly. And like some of the very, very official ones, like my youngest brother, he dry cleans his jerseys.
Man. That's smart. That's
I
the way
just
to
Yeah,
air
do it.
dry 'em. I don't do that. I wash them
inside
like a
out on
yeah
the
inside out, and then
gentlest.
I
Yeah.
just hang dry 'em.
Yep.
Beautiful.
All right, Billy,
All right,
what about
yeah.
you? What's
If
your next
if I
pick
was
for
to go on,
2030?
I gotta go. I'm an offensive line guy, so I'm picking up a Creed Humphrey jersey.
That would be yeah,
I
Love
think
yeah,
it.
if I was to do it now, I mean, I haven't bought a jersey in forever. I've kind of gotten
right,
out of that because I spent all my money on soccer jerseys instead.
yeah. Oh, I
But
was gonna say you're more responsible than me, but no,
no,
never
no,
mind.
I'm spending
No,
it on
no,
a
this is a
different
different
sport.
sport.
Yeah. No, yeah. If I was to definitely pick up a jersey, I think Creed Humphrey would have to be the way I go. He's just been one of my favorite players the past couple of years here since we drafted him in what 2020, I think it was 2021.
Hmm.
Just
Absolutely.
absolute monster that kind of came out of nowhere it seems, which is surprising because we should have known he'd be great. Like he killed it at OU, so. Um, Hey, whatever. Yeah, no, I have to be Humphrey. Good old 52.
I like it.
And see, I think the one thing with offensive line jerseys too, I think it's okay to get food stains on them because I feel like they would appreciate that.
True, true.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's
Just
uh,
depends on your laundering skills.
yeah, right. And they are subpar at best. Um, all right, I had one last one. If we want to talk about it, or do we need to go ahead and call it for the day? Are we kind of hitting up against that time
No, we
limit?
can finish our categories.
We doing it?
I got 7 minutes, and
7 minutes. All right.
I've got to be somewhere. But yeah,
Who's the biggest what happened to this dude for you all?
Ooh.
It's like what was there a specific moment in the
um,
game where a
Rojo.
guy
For
just
me, it's
let you down?
Rojo.
Yeah. You know,
well,
Because I felt like there was a lot of anticipation over him joining the team and
hmm.
everything. But we saw him like what, for a total of maybe 8 minutes all season long, I think.
Uh-huh. And it's not like it was
right.
because he was injured or anything. He just must not have
Right.
been showing
Like
up
he
to
was a
practice
healthy
very well.
scratch. He
Yeah.
just something. So I think for me it was him. That big question mark of like where the hell was he? I
Hmm.
think it was him for me. I didn't have
This,
questions. Like I think another player that could be on that list would be like a McCole, right? But
I
he
was
was
that was going to
off
be
and on.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So I think for me, but those two, but with Rojo, because like, why the heck do we sign him then? I mean, you know, I know that we like to have ample room on both running back, ample amount of running backs and wide receivers, but I feel like that's just one of those. Is like, man, he got a ring for 8 minutes all
For
season
doing
long.
nothing. Yeah. Ra.
I don't know if this is fair. This might not be fair, but I'm gonna go with a rookie because I remember when we actually were doing one of our post draft shows or preseason shows last year, we were kind of analyzing like our rookies and stuff, and we were kind of excited about this guy. But Leo Chenal, didn't hear his name like all year until maybe the
Ooh,
postseason. I'm like, oh yeah,
you're
is
right.
And
that to the point where I forgot? I was like, who is that?
I
And I
think
was
I
like,
had
oh yeah,
even
I
said
remember.
he was going to be like our best rookie. I think in
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
yeah,
think
yeah.
didn't I?
you're right. Go
Is that
back
what?
to the
Yeah,
Yeah.
receipts, and I think you'd find that in there.
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm going to go with that. Now, obviously, it's not the same as like a Rojo or a McCole, where he's just a rookie. He's
Hmm.
got time, but it was I I hesitate to say it, but I guess a little bit disappointing. I guess from considering what we thought he was going to do.
When you think about it, he
That's
came from
fair.
the Badgers, Wisconsin, which has had such a proud history of linebackers and rushers, and no other than the Watt brothers, right? So
Right.
you'd hope that would have been there too, and I think that's why I put a lot of stock in him. If I'm going to say a rookie's disappointing, I'm going to say Sky Moore. Dropping those punts, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people were hyping him up during the off season and seeing what he was doing in those open practices, up there in St. Joe and
Mm-hmm.
people watching him and all the excitement. And he had a relatively small impact, but um, it's hard to know how much it has to be accounted for this groin injury that he did have. That just seemed to stick with him all season. But yeah, McCole was my biggest letdown for sure. I really thought this was his opportunity to step up, be the replacement for Tyreek Hill,
Sure.
and see what would happen. Um, I I wonder how much of it is that injury, and so that's why I'm not willing to say quite flat out that he's my genuine disappointment. But I
Mm-hmm.
was really, I mean, I was all in on him. I was really expecting him to, be our number one wide receiver this year and just slot right in for Tyreek Hill, and it just never happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, he seems like a
Totally
good
get
guy.
that.
Yeah, and I think everyone was looking for him to take that next step,
Hmm.
and it just didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen this year. And it might be with the Jets. That might be, sometimes guys it doesn't work out one place, and they try a new place, and they get like a second life.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I
Jet
think he
might,
got like busted really early on in terms of like uh, mor- maybe just his spirits,
Yeah.
because he dropped those balls very early on in the season and got a whole lot of backlash immediately because
Yeah.
we thought he would, just like you said, we thought he would be seamlessly Tyreek Hill's replacement in terms of another incredible wide receiver
it's
on our
really
hands. So I
crazy
think
talk
that
to
really
think about.
played to it messed with his mind. I think
Yeah,
that really messed with him. And so I think
yeah,
he had a hard time shaking that and coming out of it.
yeah. No, it's crazy talk to think he was going to be the next Tyreek.
Right.
Because Tyreek
I
wasn't
know,
even
and that's a
Tyreek
lot of
when he
pressure.
started
That's
out.
hard.
Like
And it was
Tyreek was, not,
Yeah.
yeah,
He was supposed to be our Tyreek element, but people were expecting him to be
Hmm.
Tyreek, and yeah, I can see that
Yeah.
that pressure probably maybe got to him, and then on top of that, if like he was trying to push himself through that injury and made it even worse, and all those elements, I mean, it was just a catastrophic failure on multiple fronts, unfortunately. And
Hmm.
I'm honestly am sad to see him go. I really liked having him around, but hey,
the Legion of Zoom is no more.
he was the last one, last standing one.
Yeah.
Now he gone. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Man, we need to get that one recorded. Uh, that's all I had. I don't know. Is
All
there any
right.
other awards
I'm
that
glad
you
you
all
Wow, did
forced us
we
feel
to do that. That
actually
was
do the
fun.
we
awards?
did it?
Wow.
No, that was fun. I'm glad you forced us to do it.
It's going to be
But
awesome.
He made us do it. Hmm.
yeah, better to not do research. But no, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
zero
But
research, just yeah, top of our minds there. I love it. That's the way it
yeah,
should be done. All right.
but absolutely.
So, Rob, where can they find you at?
Just find me on socials, the Almighty Raw, Instagram and Twitter. Find our Twitter page, SOT Kingdom KC. Find our Discord and find us on YouTube. State of the Kingdom. Billy?
All right. For me, it's at Chef Doobles on Twitter, place I'm most active, and then occasionally streaming on YouTube, youtube.com/at Chef Doobles there. I say occasionally stream. I can't remember the last time I did. Honestly, it's been such a roller coaster there. I keep wanting to, and then I don't do it, and then yeah. Anyways, it's hard being a content creator out here in the world.
It
Just,
really is. I
it's
feel you.
honestly. All right. How about you, Hung? Where you at?
All right, you guys. I would say you can find me on pretty much every social media platform there is by my first and last name, Hong Forrest, HUONG FORREST. I say I'm probably most active on Instagram, Twitter. I'd say those two: Twitter for football, Instagram for all the rest of it. But yeah, so come along for the inspiration, stay for the light, the passion, mom life, the football, of course.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all after the draft. Will the
Woo
team pick
woo.
a wide receiver first? Give us your predictions in the comments, actually.
Okay,
I'd like to hear that or on Twitter. Like, we'd like to know.
we're,
Who
we're
do you
gonna
think we're going to go with?
We're gonna end up
All right.
drafting like a fullback first round or something crazy. I'm
Something like
waiting
that.
for it.
It's something that's going to make
We've
you scratch
lost
your head.
Burton. We need to replace him for all 2 plays he will
Yeah,
take a snap for all year long.
it's
Be
going to be a
great.
head scratcher. Yeah, we just thought that was the right
I'm not
guy.
here for these vibes, y'all. I'm not here for these vibes.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
I guess we'll see you all in 2 weeks then.
Absolutely. Until
Sounds
then, go
good.
Chiefs.